Hi, Facebook friends. Helen Archontou here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. So happy to have some time with you on this Wednesday morning. I always say that slowly, to make sure I get it right. So happy to be with you. As you know, YWTV is about educating and inspiring you. And today is just another great conversation. And so grateful to my guests to join me as well. Welcome to Ari Laura Kreith and to Paul Williams. Tell you a little bit more about them in a minute. But as we know, June is a month where we spend time showcasing pride. And although, as I always say about any of these months, they're just a month to do showcasing. We should be honoring these traditions every day of the year for sure. And every, all of these groups and conversations. But it's important, to highlight for sure. And I thought this was such a wonderful and unique way to share not only a great way to celebrate Pride, but also a way to celebrate two important organizations that are in our community as well. So with that, let's talk and let me introduce you to our wonderful guests. Let me start with Ari Laura Kreith. She's the Artistic Director of Montclair, New Jersey's Luna Stage, and Paul Williams, as I said, who's the Board of Directors Chair of ValleyArts Incorporated, and that's located in the Orange District of New Jersey. And so they are working hard at creating community and community collaborations. And those of you who are friends of the YW know that we're all about community collaborations. So it's wonderful to bring these to you. So let me tell you a little bit about Laura to start. Since her arrival at Luna Stage in 2018, I'm sorry, Ari, I'm calling you your middle name.
Okay, I have two names. You can use either of them.
I love them both. But so Ari has been with Luna Stage since 2018, and she's directed several key productions there for the past 2 years. Luna Stage has received the Jersey Arts People Choice Award for Favorite Small Theater in New Jersey. In 2020, she conceived and developed Luna's Voting Rights Project, a virtual interdisciplinary celebration of civic participation featuring 31 commissioned plays, films, and songs in advance of the 2020 election. Wow. Which was viewed over 11,000 times. Currently, she's directing Luna's virtual production of Rift, a play, I guess hashtag Rift, I guess is maybe the full name, a play over text message exploring our nation's cultural divides. Ari comes to Luna Stage after 9 years as founding artistic director of Theater 167, where she conceived and directed 3 full-length plays collaboratively written by 18 playwrights featuring 37 actors in 93 roles in 14 languages, and inspired by the world's most diverse neighborhoods. So welcome, Ari. And we also have Paul. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He is the chair of the board of directors of ValleyArts. And just a little plug here for those of you to make the connection. A few weeks ago, we had June Smith on, who is the director of ValleyArts. And I actually was chatting with her a few weeks ago, and we kind of fell across this project that they were working on, and that's how this all came together. So shout out to June. She's definitely one of those networkers and connectors of people for sure. But ValleyArts Inc. is a community-focused nonprofit organization that uses arts programming and arts education to drive economic empowerment in the surrounding community. Paul also, in his other part of his life, leads global economic inclusion and supplier diversity design at Mondelez International, a $27 billion global snack company. We see a good right brain, left brain happening there, Paul. We like it. Paul has 26 years of corporate leadership experience at companies like Procter & Gamble, Pfizer, the Clorox Company, and Kraft Foods. He is on the executive committee of the New York, New Jersey Minority Supplier Development Council, as well as the founder of Pop-Up Circumstance, a global arts advocacy organization. Paul also sits on the Maplewood Community Board on Police. So welcome to both of you. Thank you for being with us today. And as I shared with our viewers how we kind of all came together today, and June had mentioned about ValleyArts as most, one of your this great collaboration that you had brewing. And I had shared with her that I was familiar with Luna Stage for many, many years. I'm almost embarrassed to say how many, because that probably reveals a lot of my age. But, being a Montclairite myself and local to the area for so many years, I was familiar with it when it was in Montclair, which of course it has since moved. But it has a very long tradition of great quality, great quality work. So it's wonderful to see the evolution of your organization as well, Ari. So happy to to have you both. So let's start. Ari, tell everyone about Luna Stage, because again, I have my historic knowledge of it, but tell us, what is Luna Stage today?
Yeah, so we are actually celebrating our 10th anniversary in our new, no longer quite so new location in West Orange. So we moved really to become an arts anchor of the ValleyArts district, which is how Paul and I know one another. And Luna Stage is a professional regional theater, and we have contributed to the development of over 100 new plays for the stage that have gone on to be produced, not only to premiere at Luna, but then to go on to New York and national and even international productions. So I've been at Luna for about 4 years, and almost half of that time has been during the pandemic. So we have definitely developed a robust virtual presence over the last year. You mentioned the Voting Rights Project, and that feels really central to our identity and mission as a socially engaged arts organization that is interested in the ways that arts not only inspire awareness and understanding, but also catalyze action. Like, we were really interested in getting people to show up and vote, and chronicling stories of first-time voters and voter ambivalence, and exploring how we move people into active civic engagement. So that's really kind of where we live as an arts organization, that we are developing exciting new work for the stage that really engages the most pressing social issues of our time. We also have an educational arm that ensures that everybody has access to developing the roles and tools that they want to explore as artists.
And for those of you watching, we are dropping for you in the comments the link for lunastage.org, which is their website, as well as ValleyArtsNewJersey.com. That way you can connect with both organizations and learn more about what we're talking about today. And Ari, I really appreciate the kind of evolution and direction that Luna Stage has really, focused on in terms of being part of like a social change community. We do a lot of work with a lot of the film festivals around our YW, and we really do believe that there's so many important ways to move people and educate people and activate people, and the arts is definitely some place that just goes right to the core. For people, and sometimes it's more effective than any of the talks, or books that we can read. Having something, shared, in such a way. And I want to get to ValleyArts in a minute, but I want to ask you. I mean, you mentioned COVID and its impact on the organization, and I know we've all been watching, the impact on the theater community in Manhattan, because that's been all over the news, but how it's impacted local theater companies really hasn't been elevated as much as a discussion. And yet, we know that you've all really were struck so hard by this as well. Can you tell us a little bit about, take us back to March 2020, what was going on for Luna Stage, and how you got to get all the way to June 9th?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember that moment in March where we had the board meeting on Tuesday, where we talked about the possibility of needing to postpone the show that we're about to open now for perhaps 2 weeks. And, we were in that world of where we thought it was heartbreaking that we might push back. We were also about to begin rehearsal for what was going to be the largest production that Luna had ever done. It had a cast of 9. That we also put on pause. And I think, in that initial moment, it was all about the logistics. And I think that one of the things that happened fairly quickly one of the advantages of being a small company was that we could really shift how we thought about the work and lean into our mission, which really is how do we keep our community engaged and inspired and connected no matter what the circumstance. And so almost immediately we started offering 10-minute playwriting workshops that filled up as fast as we could offer them, that ultimately culminated in December in a day-long festival, the shortest of plays for the shortest of days, where we shared all of this work that the community had created up until that moment. But we also, right after the pandemic hit, received our first ever NEA grant, which was one of those bittersweet moments because the Voting Rights Project was going to be in person in the streets. And suddenly we had to reimagine that. But it also allowed us to, for instance, work with someone who was voting for the first time because as somebody who had previously been incarcerated, his voting rights had just been reinstated, and we got to follow him on camera through the process of, both going home and reflecting on what voting had meant to him as a younger person, and then also registering to vote now as an adult. So there were things like that we never could have told those stories in exactly those ways had we been living in our pre-pandemic world. And then, we were commissioned to create a play for Orange High School that we then transformed into a play that they could perform over Zoom as their fall play. And most recently, up on our website, we have the vaccine monologues, where we commissioned playwrights and physicians and other people who had been on the front lines to tell their stories. And each of those, there's a bunch of little bottles on our website, and you click on the bottle and you get to hear each person's story and relationship that we hope will also encourage people to feel safe getting vaccinated. So it's been kind of a huge span of very different work than we ever would have imagined leaning into. We also created virtual camps and all sorts of other educational programs that have run through this time, including a solo show creation workshop that was facilitated by Will Nolan, who is the performer of Gay History for Straight People, which is the project we're about to launch, in collaboration with 2 other solo performers. And the vision for this piece was that in this moment where all is shut down, people can figure out how to create across divides. So we made an opportunity for 9 performers from geographically diverse locations to work together over Zoom to support each other in the creation of solo work. So starting to figure out how the idea of telling a story in community supports understanding, and that perhaps these moments where we can't share space allow us to bridge our divides differently. And that's also kind of what we're doing with Rift, which is this play people are receiving to their phones right now. It's part 1. Part 3 is actually going to land in our season next year. But it's a play looking at the divides in America through a very personal story of a playwright whose brother is a currently incarcerated former white supremacist. And their struggles to understand their sort of separate trajectories and collective relationship. And it's told through photos and audio files and text messages that people have been getting to their phone for the last 8 weeks. Wow. So, and that journey is about to begin again for anybody who missed it and wants to jump on board. I'm
going to sign up for that one for sure. I have to say, one of the things that has really amazed me during this time, just obviously been so overwhelmed with the trauma and watching the trauma that people have individually experienced. But, projects like yours and, all that you're describing, have really helped with the healing and, really helps inspire us about the resilience that, really does exist, in each of us and in our communities and in our organizations, that during difficult times that, there ends up being another road to take, that maybe was not imagined once, but end up, could be something that, very well is equally as impactful and we never would have gotten there, if these all this had not converged the way it had. But it's so amazing to hear about all the different projects and, really the way that you've spotlighted, and, we know systemic racism and, all of the social injustices, that we have really been watching closely now because we've all been home looking, more, always existed. But, this has given us the opportunity to really, put some clarity and focus around them even more so. So I really appreciate the work that you're doing and the way that you're sharing it, because as I started out by saying, that's why I'm such a true believer in the arts, because I do believe that it's able to deliver messages in ways that hopefully people can receive them, differently, for sure. So
Yeah,
Paul,
and I think that's really our job. And I think, it's interesting when you talk about pre-pandemic, because the show that closed right before the pandemic was Passover, which was really a play about systemic racism that I think invited people into dialogue in a different way, perhaps, than they had ever experienced before. Like, we had audiences that stayed until midnight in our space. I know, Paul, you were a part of that as well. And I think that question of how do arts organizations contribute to shifting perspectives in ways that people are surprised by and have a sense of personal stake and empathy. I think that's kind of central to how we come back from this moment and say, who are we? How do we recover? How do we rebuild? What do we want to see in our world?
I couldn't agree more. Paul, I guess, although we did have June on a few weeks ago and she did start this conversation, I'd love for you to remind our viewers a little bit about ValleyArts.
Sure.
And I'd also love to hear about, Ari talked about how they packed up in Montclair and moved to their new location so they could be part of the ValleyArts community. So I'd love to have our viewers hear about what you're growing there, because I know it's amazing from everything that I've witnessed.
Sure. So thanks again for the opportunity to speak about it. So ValleyArts has been in the ValleyArts district, which actually straddles both Orange and West Orange, and it's an area where there is a concentration of arts related businesses and organizations, and we want to see that continue to grow. ValleyArts itself is focused on economic development, but trying to do economic development through the arts, and there's kind of three ways we're trying to do that: by doing art programming that brings people into the area and fosters business in the area. We do art education, in partnership with the local schools, and then also some that we just offer on our own. And then we formed a business council, which is basically a network of the small businesses in the ValleyArts district, and actually in the surrounding areas of Orange and West Orange, really just to make sure that we're coordinated and that we're partnering as much as possible and sharing opportunities. That was kind of the original vision. COVID, much in the way that Ari spoke about, COVID has caused us to shift our focus in a lot of ways, and in some ways that have been actually quite good for us, and ways that we think will take with us going forward. So one of the things that we quickly did is shifted the focus of the business council to safety supplies. So we were able to secure, during the early days when it was very difficult to get PPE and safety supplies, we were able to secure those through some of our corporate connections and make those available for, members of the business council to be able to do that. And then later on, we actually have one of our board members who happens to own a company that focuses on like smart safety supplies, and she provided a re-entry tool. So it's an application that helps employers to track when their employees are coming in for re-entry. So she provided that to the small businesses in the area, like for free. And so we shifted there initially, and then for our programming, we historically, all of our education programs and all of our programming was in person, and we shifted that to virtual. And while there were some growing pains as we did that, in the end, one of the net results is it expanded our audience quite a bit. So we were able to showcase the artists from and around Orange to audiences as far as Mexico and California. We did an artist talk with an artist that was focused on a photography exhibit that highlighted the experience of queer Black men. and he was able to have a talk with one of his professors who's now based in Mexico. And we had folks from Nebraska and California that were dialing in. And so one of the things that we're thinking about as we start to reemerge, we've just physically reopened, and we're very excited about the upcoming show, because it represents our first big production back in the space. But we're thinking that as we open up with physical activities, we don't want to lose this reach that we've been able to build to showcase Orange much more broadly. We even actually have entered a partnership with an artist who's based in Tanzania, and she's partnered with a merchant who is based in Maplewood. And we are going to continue, like, that interface is going to provide us with content in a series to showcase like the impact of global art and global African diaspora, et cetera. So that international piece has been part of the pivot that we've had to do during COVID.
Yeah, and I have to say, I just I'm daily in awe when I talk to different organizations to hear about the creativity and the new breath, that's been created, for organizations, through this time. It's amazing to hear. I mean, we really, who would have thought, right, doing everything so virtually would have allowed such a reach between Tanzania and Maplewood, New Jersey, and create such a link. And what an amazing opportunity for education, and sharing, for our communities, that you've been able to create that.
Yeah, very true. And one of the ones I'm most proud of is that we run a circus camp. So for several years, we've run a circus arts camp, during the summer with local kids, and they learn like performing arts, like juggling and things like that, plate spinning. And one of the things I'm proud of is we were able to run that circus camp during COVID virtually. And the kids were still able to practice. We packaged up, the materials for them and sent them to their homes, and then we worked with the teacher. So, as you said, like, the creativity of the folks that were presenting, these things was admirable.
Yeah, and I can only hope that the children, and I was telling Ari before we started, I have 8-year-old twins, so we've been navigating this time, but I can only hope that the children that lived through this time, really take that, really no walls, in terms of their thinking and options, that mindset that we had to operate with during this time, that anything was possible, and creativity, with them, with the amazing programs like yours, both of yours, that were able to still somehow, stay intact and provide that connection for children socially that they really needed during this time.
Yeah, actually, speaking of children and walls, I'll do a shameless plug. We did a thing called Slice of Orange, where we used our front windows as a gallery instead of the inside gallery space. And we did one that was a tribute to Romare Bearden with the local forestry school. And the kids actually did small murals that we then put up into one large mural in the windows of ValleyArts. And those are actually for sale now in the gallery. So as folks come to the show, which opens this Saturday at the gallery, they'll walk through and they'll see this work that was done by local Orange students, and they're selling it as a fundraiser to go back to the school.
That's amazing, and I'm glad you did the plug. That's what this is all about. So you mentioned and you mentioned Saturday night and the big opening. So let's talk about the show, because I was happy to raise the collaboration and then both of your organizations and lift up the work you're doing. But I thought it was great timing to do it now, to talk about your kind of opening project, because we're in Pride, and what an amazing project it is. So tell us who wants to jump in on that one.
Ari.
So the show is called Gay History for Straight People, and it is the creation of writer and performer Will Nolan as his alter ego, Leola Nolan. And I'm actually going to share Will's words about Leola, because he describes her so well. When Leola tumbled out of the closet at age 70, she fell into a community and a history that truly excited her. Gay History for Straight People is very much Leola's interpretation and retelling of gay history by going through the alphabet, gay to Z, as she says. She may not get all the facts right or even close to right, but at the end of the day, I hope audiences will gain appreciation for the complex history of the queer community and the progress the community has made in the short amount of time, and that everyone will take a moment to thank the incredible men and women, particularly trans women of color, who fought for the rights of the queer community. And it's also a celebration, 75 minutes to laugh and celebrate our pride.
What an amazing description. And so tell us the timing of the show. And I know, so it's opening. What do you plan for the opening? Are tickets still available? And how long is it running? How can people get there? Because it just sounds amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were not ready to reopen our building. And then as we were sort of exploring beautiful outdoor spaces in our neighborhood, we realized that the ValleyArts courtyard was the perfect space for this performance. And it is a beautiful lawn surrounded by kind of a walkway. And the performance will take place there, and the seating is arranged in a sort of socially distanced way. So people can either come with groups of up to 4 and be in a pod, or they can come individually or in pairs. So the performances are the 11th, 12th, 25th, and 26th. So this coming Friday and Saturday at 8, and then 2 weeks from now, Friday and Saturday at 8 in the ValleyArts courtyard. We also have a performance at Van Vleck Gardens on June 18th in collaboration with Montclair. So we have 2 wonderful collaborative partners who are working together with us on this particular project. That's
wonderful. And then, so is it for all age groups? Is it, when I love everything about it, because again, it for me hits what I love about the arts. It just creates an opportunity for learning, understanding, empathy, and hopefully with that, culture shift and change, across the board. So who should be thinking about coming?
That is a really good question. We were saying it's for audiences 16 plus. Of course, my daughter saw it when she was 12 and loved it. And my 12-year-old son is coming on Friday. So it really is about, however parents feel like, what they feel like their kids are comfortable with in terms of like a little bit of, playful raunchiness, but I think nothing that will go over the top.
That's great. That's great. And so what's next for a collaboration between ValleyArts and Luna Stage? What's on the horizon? Because I guess, each day, I feel like, I don't know how everyone else feels. I feel like overnight it's all done. Everyone's maskless and going everywhere all of a sudden, right? So what's next? What's next for the partnership?
Yeah, I think we're always in partnership. Luna Stage is an active member of the ValleyArts Business Council. So there's always some, the wheels are always going in terms of how we could partner together. I don't know what the next show will be. ValleyArts has a show coming up also with a local artist based in South Orange named Mark Gaston. He's Haitian American. He does some amazing kind of surrealist work. We also have a thing called Tuesday Talks, which is like an ongoing series around to address social issues. The next one will be anti-Asian violence. We've done ones before on unconscious bias and stuff like that. So we have a really exciting calendar. I'm sure June probably talked about some of we have an exciting calendar for the year ahead that's already blocked in, but we also are leaving space for new things, to enter. And so one of the general principles of the ValleyArts District is working together, across the arts organizations that are there. So I'm sure there will be something, and hopefully we can come back to talk about it when it happens.
Well, I would absolutely love that. And as I shared with June in our conversations, which June and I are always, firing when we're talking together, please count the YWCA of Northern New Jersey in to be a partner. Our mission is to eliminate racism and empower women, and, all of the work that both of you are doing and talking about, and I say that to both organizations, are very linked to what we do and our values and our beliefs. And part of that is really elevating and partnering with other organizations, just as you do, to keep lifting the message and getting it out there. So count us in, and to figure out how we can partner as well. So Ari, tell us what's next. I know. I'm going to sign up for the text play for sure, and I'm going to hopefully join you, not the opening weekend, but maybe the weekend after for the show. But tell me, what's next?
Well, we have our official season announcement coming on June 18th, but I can tease that a little bit. by saying that the first project of our season is going to be a bilingual Spanish-English piece. We did a bilingual Spanish-English piece for young people 2 years ago that toured through the Valley District. And we're really excited to kind of continue that and expand to reaching adult audiences as well. And the third play of our season is going to be the culmination of Rift. So people will have this text message experience, and they don't actually have to do that in order to have the full live play experience, but the two will play well together. So we're getting people sort of in relationship with these two characters over this period of time. But it's going to be a 4-show season, and we, in the meantime, have summer camps coming up, and all of our camps and all of our programming at this point is pay what you wish. Mm-hmm. So we're really ensuring access for all kids to creative experiences this summer. We have theater camps for younger kids, and we have teen intensives in acting and filmmaking and playwriting for 4 weeks in July. So that's kind of coming right up. And then, Paul, you mentioned your windows, and I just wanted to shout out like our collaborators on ours. During Passover, we created a Say Their Names installation in our space that people would walk through after they saw the piece and just reflect on the violence and that has been happening. And so in the wake of the murder of George Floyd, we realized that we had these huge windows in our space, as did our neighbors all down the block. And so we moved the installation from the interior of the space to the walls of the building. The entire face of our block is a Say Their Names installation at this point with 3 ValleyArts partner organizations.
Wow, how moving. And, you know, folks, when you come to see the show, it sounds like you'll get to see the windows and definitely consider buying a piece. And, you know, for our viewers, as I always share, you know, nonprofit organizations really, really rely on the community to keep us going. And this amazing work that you're hearing about happening at these 2 organizations really only happens because of people finding ways to support, and whether that's through volunteering or writing a check or, you know, providing some kind of in-kind support. It's all needed. And these are 2, you know, I'm always a fan of supporting the YW, but these are also 2 great organizations. And I also share, when you support one of us, you support all of us, because our work is all aligned. So please learn more about Luna Stage and ValleyArts New Jersey so that you can participate in these great programs that they're talking about. And I love that you both have options for kids this summer. I know I'm actively planning for mine, so you've given me options. The YWCA of Northern New Jersey also has summer camps as well, but I feel like package them all together, and we're going to have some really great, well-rounded kids by the time September comes. And we know that the kids really, really need that connection, social interaction after the year, you know, that they've had. So, and the arts is such a great way of helping them express and manage, you know, so much that they've been carrying quietly, you know, during this time. So I really appreciate the outlets and opportunities, and all 3 of us, you know, creating affordable options, you know, for children and families in our community, because we know everyone's been hit so hard. So with that, for our viewers, you know, as I also share, YWTV is really about community and sharing information as well. I hope that there's something that you learned about today that you integrate into a conversation you have at some point, and you know, YWTV lives on our Facebook page, and then eventually moves over to our YouTube channel. You can copy the link, send it to someone in a text, put it in the messenger, share it on your Facebook page, but definitely let someone in your life know about these 2 great organizations. And once again, let's talk about what's opening on June 11th. Is it June 11th? No, on Saturday. Is that June?
No, Friday, June 11th.
June 11th is Gay History for Straight People. Yes.
So tell us again what's launching on June 11th, so we can mark our calendars.
Gay History for Straight People, 8 p.m., ValleyArts Courtyard. Tickets are available online at www.stage.org.
Very good. Very good. All right, folks. We wish everyone a great day. Stay safe, everyone. thank you both to Paul and to Ari for the amazing work and that you are leading, and everyone who's part of both of your teams, that's making it happen. I really, as much as there's so much work to do, it's wonderful to hear about the pieces that are happening, because I firmly believe that if we keep doing our piece, eventually they all weave together like a quilt, and make a difference. So I'm in gratitude to you both for the work you're doing, and look forward to partnering with you over this time, now that we are all friends, connected, and know each other. But thank you for the great work that you're doing around social and racial justice issues.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the great work that you're doing. Awesome.
And folks, for those of you watching, mark your calendars. Tomorrow, as you know, YWTV is where we share the mic now with Black women in our community to showcase them and elevate their voices. And we have a great conversation planned with Rosalind Rogers, who's the CEO and president of Planned Parenthood of Metropolitan New Jersey. She is just an amazing advocate, and really a lifelong, has had a lifelong commitment to her work, and looking forward to you meeting her if you don't know her already. And if you do know her, come visit just to, wish her well. But she'll be with us tomorrow. And every Thursday we do share the mic now. So we hope you mark your calendars for that. And some upcoming initiatives, just so that you can hopefully join us on our Women's Empowerment Network has an event about work-life balance, no charge, 10 a.m. virtual on June 11th on Friday. So you can do that in the morning, get all ready and empowered, and then at night go see the show. You got your whole day planned out for you. So please join us. We'll have links here for you if you'd like to register. For our senior community, we have Improving Brain Balance and Memory happening also on Friday, June 11th. So join us for that. And as we shared, it's camp season for all of us. So please, there's 3 great camp options for you right here on the screen. Please check them out. And we are taking applications for our Girls Leadership Academy and Power University right now, which is a 10-month opportunity that launches in September. And it is virtual, and will be virtual with some in-person opportunities for a rising high school sophomore girls. So please check that out if there's anyone in your community for that that might benefit. So everyone have a great day. Thank you again to Paul and Ari, and be well, everyone. And we'll see you at the show.
Yep. Thanks. See you later.